give you guys a couple injury updates. Willie Jones went out of the game in that first series with a shoulder injury. It was the same left shoulder he had against UTSA. Right now he's out this week. We'll know more. He's having x-rays as we speak. We could not get him in for an MRI until tomorrow, noonish, 11ish tomorrow. I wish we could have got him in a lot earlier so we'd know a little bit more and I could give you guys more details. But right now we don't know anything for sure until after tomorrow at 11. John Brennan went out of the game with a concussion, so he is I would say he's out this week. Our plans are hopefully we can get him back for spring ball. That's our plans, hopefully, with the concussion. And we didn't have Nico Isidore today at practice. He's got a personal issue at home with his family, so he had to leave last night to go home and take care of that. So those are the main injury. Everybody else is just bumps and bruises, that kind of thing from the game. Going back to Saturday, after watching the tape, the things that, obviously you can't do when you play a really good team is you can't turn the ball over 3 times. 2 of those in plus territory, 1 of those going in to hopefully score. That's a big flip in points, and you can't do that. And we've got to be able to stay on the field on 3rd down. We were 3 of 12 on 3rd down. They were 9 of 16, and most of those 9 of 16s came with the quarterback scramble and picking up first downs. I thought we did some good things coverage-wise. We misfit the gap very easily, just blew a run fit on a long touchdown run that really shouldn't have happened. But you can't do those things when you play a really good, talented football team. So, going into the game, we wanted to kind of gauge ourselves against a team like App State, very talented football team. And you lose your quarterback in the first series, kind of takes some air out of you. And then, after that you make, the turnovers. You can't get off the field on 3rd down. You can't stop them in the red zone. You misfit gaps. You're not going to beat a good team like that. So those things we came out of the game saying there were non-negotiables that we didn't take care of. The things we did well after watching the tape Saturday night is I felt like we held our own up front defensively. I felt like we did a good job we wanted to stop the runs right down the middle. I thought we did that other than the one misfit of the gap. I thought we did a good job. I thought offensive line-wise we held our own for the most part. I thought we were able to do some things up front. We got better. We did give up 2 sacks, but, when you look at the tape, the things that we didn't do up front was we didn't finish some blocks that would have gave us some more positive plays. And so we have to continue to get better, but I do feel like our offensive line is getting better each week. So that was a talented front that they played, and I felt like they did a good job. So we've got to continue to get better. Obviously, we're playing a talented Troy team this week. Again, another top team in our league. We're going to finish the season that way with top teams in our league. So, they've done a good job. The Sawyer Smith kid's done a really good job of coming in as a backup and playing well. He's throwing the ball well. Very good, efficient passer. Running back's probably, if not one of the top running backs in our league. He's up there pretty high. He's close to 1,000 yards rushing, and very talented wide receiver core that will play. So a lot of good skill players, great scheme. I think Neil's done a really good job at Troy trying to get that back to where it, traditionally Troy has always been, and he's done a good job. So we'll have to be even more prepared this week going on the road to go compete and try to win a conference game. Tyler's played a lot of snaps for us right now, so he's, I think he did a really good job. Other than you like to have the interception back, but other than that, I think Tyler did a really good job of, trying to manage the game and do some things. Obviously, when you lose, you lose a guy like Willie, that some of the quarterback runs may have been a little bit more productive with Willie in there as opposed to Tyler. But, you know, he runs hard. He does a nice job. And, you know, he knows where to go with the ball in the passing game, which is positive, which, you know, we feel comfortable with. But, you know, I thought he did a good job. Other than the one throw, you know, you like to have that throwback because that's a, you know, points issue there. You know, I thought he did a good job.
Coach, Jalen Gibson has attempted 5 passes so far this season. How has your quarterback room kind of affected him, and is he going to be ready to play backup on Saturday?
Yeah, he's going to have to play backup on Saturday.
It might be cliche, but Jeremiah Hadel and JT Taylor both talked about the fight this team has after the game. Do you see more fight in this team than you have in the past 2 teams that you've had?
This team's more talented than the last 2 teams we've had. I don't know if there's more fight other than, you know, they're competitors and they compete and, you know, they want to win and they think they have a chance to win. I think that's the biggest issue is, you know, competing and fighting, you know, to the end because you think you've got a chance to win. So these guys have all been through, you know, the building of this thing, and they understand that that's really a non-negotiable. You know, we're you know, there's nobody in our building that's going to quit or expects to quit or, you know, none of that. We're going to fight and compete every week because that's kind of what we're built on, is to go compete against whoever we're playing.
Coach, special teams has struggled pretty much all season. How has that affected your game planning for the season?
I don't think special teams have struggled all season. I mean, that's your opinion. Yeah, PAT field goal. Yeah, but I thought we did a really good job Saturday. In fact, I felt like we won the special teams Saturday.
Coach, is there any updates on Jashaun Waddy? Is he injured? I noticed he didn't play this weekend.
Yeah, he was out with a hamstring. Hopefully we get him back. We were expecting to maybe have him some for Saturday, but we felt like that he would not have been effective in the ball game, so we held him.
Coach, how important has your coaching staff been, your assistants, to the development of this football team?
Well, you know, it's obvious that I think they've been a big factor in the development of our football team. You know what a lot of people don't realize, you know, this is going on year 3 now. We've lost 8 coaches here, and 6 of them are either in the NFL or in Power 5 schools. So we've had really good coaches here. We just have not been able to keep them, whether that's we can't pay them enough or what. But it's been really good. We've been able to replace them with good football coaches. We got Coach Elliott back. That's kind of a, you know, you don't get that very often. But you know, I feel like we've done a good job of identifying good young coaches that can that coach well, that mentor kids. That's the big thing that I look for in coaches, is coaches not just coaches and then go home and, you know, don't care about kids. You know, I think our coaches spend a lot of time with our players and mentor them on and off the field, which is kind of what I look for.
The Sun Belt Conference has a great group of head coaches, arguably maybe the best group among the G5 conferences. You look at Neil Brown at Troy. First season, they were 4-8. A year ago, Sun Belt Conference co-champions in first place right now in the league. How impressed have you been with the job that he has done with that program?
Well, you know, Neil's situation is a lot like, and really, you know, Coach Anderson's at Arkansas State. You know, when you take over programs that have traditional history of winning, you know, sometimes you can get that back. I ran into that a little bit at JMU. You know, JMU had won, and it was just a matter of realigning and refocusing and getting back on track. And that's what you do at places like Troy. You're not, when you're at Troy and Arkansas State and App State, you're not very far from getting it right. And that's what happens at those places. Neil's done an unbelievable job. Neil knew the culture at Troy from having been there. Scott Satterfield knew the culture at App State from having been there. So you know what it takes to get that done. The people there probably know what it takes because they've done it before. And that's what's important. But Neil's done an unbelievable job of getting it right. You know, it wasn't far off track to start with, but getting it right at fast is, you know, you can do that at places like that.
Depth has been an issue the last 2 years in this time of the year. How do you feel about the depth of this season going into these last 2 games?
It's much better than it has been. That's for sure. We're not close to where we want to be depth-wise, but we're better than we have been depth-wise. We still have some spots that we don't have enough spares like we'd like to have, but we're getting closer to that. We've got a number of young kids that have played that take for instance K-Dot from last week. That was his 4th game, so we'll shut him down. He won't play anymore because we want to be able to redshirt him. We've got 3 defensive linemen that we haven't played all this year because they need to develop. We've got a couple guys in the offensive line that need to develop that we're not going to play, and hopefully you build that depth with kids that physically can go play. We don't feel real comfortable sticking a guy back out there to go play just because he can. You want to put a guy back out there that can help you win a game and physically be able to match up against a tough league. So we feel good about the depth now. It's better than what we had a year ago or even 2 years ago. Definitely 2 years ago, but it can be better and it will get better.
Coach Nicholas Daniels, 4th straight week, he led your defense in tackles. What can you tell us about Nick and how he's improved as the season has gone along?
Nick's done some good things. He's you guys look at the stat sheets and look at tackles. Sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes that's not a positive. This past week, it probably was not a positive. I don't think Nick had nearly the game that we expected him, but he was going from Will to Mike this week. He fit some of our runs this week like he was playing Will linebacker instead of Mike linebacker. And, he made some plays. He did make some. But sometimes, you guys look at the stats and you go, oh, that guy must have played a good game because he had 15 tackles. Well, it might be because he was hanging on to make tackles because he wasn't fitting them downhill like he should be. But Nick's done some really good stuff for us this year. He's been better suited for us at Will than he has been at Mike. He can play both, but when you have to go from Will linebacker and fit in the backside of runs to being on the front side, like Brian London's been, sometimes it's difficult. He still may make the tackle, but might be for 4 instead of 2 or 1.
Coach, you mentioned the culture at Troy and at App State and how coaches were there before, so they kind of understood the culture. Do you felt that was something that you ran into when you came to Texas State, that you weren't familiar with the territory? And because you've preached a lot about culture and building it and how important that is.
Well, I just know the history of Troy football, what they've done in their previous history as far as being champions and being successful in football. Coach Blakeney did an unbelievable job there in the years. I remember watching a game, it might be 10 years ago, where they beat Oklahoma State silly at Troy. And it wasn't even close. They had much better talent than Oklahoma State. So I remember those. And App State, obviously, 3 straight national championships at the FCS level. Those are things that when you're a coach, you notice it and you study it. And it's not that I didn't know. I knew the history of this place, not as well as I know it now, obviously, but I knew the history, and it's been a kind of an up and down history here. It hadn't been a consistent history of winning in championships. I think I might be the 9th or 10th coach here in the last 20-something years. So there obviously hadn't been a whole lot of this guy staying here and building it and winning it. So, did I know what I was getting into? Yes. Did I think it was Troy and App State? No.
You hit a bit about on the offense that Troy has, but much like App State, they have a top defense, not only in the Sun Belt but in the country. What makes them good on defense that you've seen?
Like what makes really good defenses all across, really talented players. It all starts in the front 7. I think they're talented up front in the front 7. I think I got a stat here. They are, on defense, They're 24th in the country versus the rush, 39th total defense. So I mean, you know, when you're that, you're pretty good when you're, you know, in the top half of the country, top quarter of the country in run defense. That's usually where it starts, and I think that's where they start up front. And I think consistency in what they're doing on defense for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been in the same system for a while. I think that's important too.
You know, such a tough end of the year schedule with all these teams, and you know, you've talked about it before. A game's a game, and you just prepare for the opponent. But how difficult has it been game planning for all this tough stretch, these last 4 or 5 games?
You know, to be honest with you, you know, you plan weekly for one opponent, and you know, you don't really. Everybody's got players that could beat you. And you know, these teams have been the most consistent in our league. You know, I don't make the schedule, so you know, we have to play them one at a time and play them as they come. And it hadn't been tough to plan for them. I mean, we planned to go win the games. I thought we had a really good plan offensively. I thought we had a really good plan defensively. Now, we were missing a couple starters on defense that might would have helped us a little bit. But this week we'll hopefully have those guys back and hopefully go on the road and have a good offensive plan, which we started last night, and have a good defensive plan and go compete and try to win the game.
I heard a rumor that Keenan Brown and Frankie Griffin, they were cleared to play next year. Has that been decided yet? Have you heard anything on that?
They have been given clock extensions to play another year next year, yes. Yeah, you know, this is I think it is the top G5 league. I think this league has, you know, been built. I think Carl Benson, our commissioner's done a good job of developing this league. Obviously, we're the furthest west team now in that league as far as football, and I think it's a great fit. You know, I think the things that this league has is, obviously I think it has very good head coaches. I do. I think this is a talented league with talented head coaches that do it the right way. You know, there's not a head coach in this league that isn't a really good person and a good football coach. I think everybody does a great job of recruiting. And I think we fit there. You know, this is a league that we should be a member that's competitive each year and starting, you know, obviously now, hopefully, building a program so we can compete in this league. But this isn't an overnight thing to get to where Troy and App is now. It's, you know, or Arkansas State. It's not. You can't do this overnight. You have to be able to build this piece by piece.